I'm recording it separately. Okay, I'm recording it, but okay, it'll be that as well. So, right. What does it mean? So the Soferim, they imprisoned this person. What do you mean the Soferim imprisoned the person? How did they imprison him? So that's our Mishnah. Our Mishnah registers the minhag that the correct time to marry a Betula is when? Wednesday. That's the Takanat Soferim. And we said, why did the Soferim make the Takana on Wednesday? So that number one, the next day he has a Betin. But in that case, do it on Sunday, because also if he gets married on Sunday, the next day on Monday he has the Betin. So he said, because Shakedu said Shakedu? Exactly. Shakedu Hakamim al Takanat Benot, he said. Exactly. Shakedu, they wanted to make sure that it's a proper wedding. And part of a proper wedding is we need time to prepare for the wedding, minimum 3 days. So if we say get married on Sunday, prepare for the wedding. Saturday night, is he going to prepare for a wedding? No. So the Soferim Shakedu. Shakedu means they were persistent. They insisted that the girls of Israel be treated properly. Okay? So that's Shakedu. So now he says, oh wait, hold on a second. The 12-month period expired. I have to pay her mizonot. Now you're telling me why do I have to pay her mizonot? I have to either marry her or pay her mizonot. That's the deal, right? I can't marry her. The Chachamim said I have to marry her on Wednesday. Today is Sunday. Today is Monday. Today is Thursday. Today is Tuesday. So you understand the idea of Havashuhu Soferim, the Soferim in prison. So in that case, so the Hidush of Shemuel we see here is that in the case of paying her mezonot, it's only if it's Wednesday. And that's our Mishnah. Now you understand the function of our Mishnah according to Shemuel, and now you understand why Shemuel in the first place, he came up with Amara, and now look at the Gemara, the beginning of the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shemuel, now you understand why Shemuel is connecting our Mishnah with the Mishnah in Perek He. Okay, so you see the connection? So again, the Mishnah in Perek He sets forth an absolute law, the law of Mezonot. The Mishnah in Perek Daled, it creates a limitation on that law. But there's a problem. What's the problem? The Mishnah said, what do you do with that? There's no exceptions. So now you're saying, no, it's not Niseu, it's Naseu. It's a problem. What is the basis? What is the basis for saying Higia Zeman Belo Niseu should actually be Higia Zeman Belo Naseu, that the obligation is on the husband, and if there's onus, he's absolved. You're telling me there's onus here. You understand? But first you understand the question. Does everybody understand the question? What is the basis to change the word Niseu to Naseu? So we're going to deal with that, but I want you to be aware of the difficulty. And by the way, just so you know, what we're going to do this week is we're going to have a break at 9 o'clock, and then we'll continue until 10 o'clock. Okay, so we'll all have a break, get water, maybe we'll get some, we'll raid the kitchen downstairs. I don't know, we'll try to do something like that.
If it's Niseu, Kashu Soferim is not an excuse?
Right, so correct, because Niseu means
even Sunday start paying.
Yeah, so Niseu means there's no exceptions.
The minhag is not enough.
Exactly, so Shemuel is saying, well, no. The reason they registered this minhag is to tell us that Niseu.
But then we have the problem of
so how can we do that? How can we change the language? Okay, now I remember, I think Ronnie, I think you had a question. I said I would address it. I think it was related to the minhag. Is it? Okay, it's fine. If you remember the question, feel free to raise your hand later on and ask it. For now, I want to just bring to your attention something that I didn't say last week, and then we'll go forward. We saw that Rabbi Yosef had a problem. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Mare de Abraham, Tale Tanya Bidlat Tanya. Right? Remember Rabbi Yosef, this is in the Gemara, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 lines down in the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Mare de Abraham, Tale Tanya Bidlat Tanya. I just want you to see that this is a rare Tanaitic expression. It appears a few times in all of the rabbinic literature, my father drew my attention to the sifre, which is this on the source sheet, and you'll see in the sifre, almost on the bottom, it says the adain hadavar taleh bidla taleh. See that expression? Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The
6 lines from the bottom.
Right, exactly. 5, 6 lines from the bottom. The adain hadavar taleh bidla taleh. You're hanging something on something that itself is not hung. Okay, there was some question about the chelik of Yaakov, that Hashem is the chelik of Yaakov, or Yaakov is the chelik of Hashem. Okay, but the point is, you see, it's a very rare expression. Taleh tanya bidla tanya. My father also brought, I don't remember where exactly, but he also brought a source in the Mechilta where you have the same thing, taleh taleh bidla taleh. Okay, but so it's a rare expression. You're not going to see it a lot. But okay. Let's go now to the.
It's not exactly the same expression. It says bidla taleh. Ours is bidla tanya.
Right, taleh tanya, bidla tanya means when it says taleh tanya, bidla tanya, it means taleh bidla taleh, meaning you're hanging a beraita on a beraita that itself needs to be hung. You understand? Meaning, what's the idea of taleh tanya, bidla tanya? So you have something that's firm, that's strong, and you're hanging it on something that's not firm and that's not strong. Now you're right. Here it's taleh, adavar taleh, bidla taleh, right? Something that's strong, taleh, bidla taleh, something that's weak. You see in the sifre? Okay. All right. So good. So now we're going to continue in the now in the Gemara, and we had the reconstructed statement of Rav Yosef of Shemuel, which Rav Yosef in the name of Rav Yehuda, and I want somebody just to summarize for me the reconstructed statement, right? Ela'it marachit. Who wants to summarize it? Don't be afraid. I'm not going to get angry, but I just want to know if somebody wants to summarize it for us. Or you know what? I'll make it easier. Who wants to read it? Ela'it marachit and explain it. Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shemuel. Ike, you want to try it? Yeah. Mipnei amru. It's in the so we said why Wednesday? Because like that, if it's Ta'anat Betulim, you can go the next day, Thursday to Betin. So do it on Sunday. So the answer was שקדו חכמים
על תקנת בנות ישראל שהיא תרח בסעודה 3 ימים, אחד בשבת, השני בשבת, השלישי בשבת, ורביעי כונסה.
Okay, ועכשיו ששנינו שקדו, and this is a continuation of the statement. This is still part of the reconstructed statement. ועכשיו ששנינו שקדו, אותה ששנינו, continue.
אותה ששנינו הגיע הזמן, ולא נישאו אוכלות משלו ואוכלות בתרומה. הגיע הזמן באחד בשבת, מכך שאינו יכול לפנוס, אינו מענה לה מזונות.
Okay, that's it. That's the reconstructed statement. From this point on, the lefichach is a conclusion of the yeshiva. And we're going to stay later on. There's 2 questions I still didn't answer. Number 1, who's making the reconstructed statement? Who is saying ela'it malachit ma? That's the first question. Number 2, who's saying lefichach? Who's reaching the the conclusions from the reconstructed statement? I will address these questions in due course, but for now, who wants to read the lefichach? Who knows how to read the lefichach? Nobody wants to read?
I'll read.
Chavod.
lefichach halahu או שחלתה היא או שפרסה מידה.
Those are 3 cases. So lefichach means it's a logical conclusion. The logical conclusion is now that Hafshu Soperim, and if the 12-month period expires other than on Wednesday, therefore I'm going to reach a logical conclusion. Halahu. What about if he's sick? He can't get married. So now the 12-month period expired and he's sick, he can't get married. Are we going to penalize him financially? If halahu, the answer is going to be no. Continue. What's haltahi?
There's always a logical.
Exactly. From the above, I'm going to make a logical derivation, and the logical derivation is lefichach halahu. If he got sick, or case number 2, if she got sick, meaning he wants to marry her, and she's saying, "Wait, hold on, I'm not feeling well, but I have to marry you. The 12-month expired, and if I don't marry you, I'm going to be penalized." Right? So until now, the answer would have been tough luck. You have to pay up the money. But now that we're saying that, wait, if Hafshuhu Soferim, he doesn't have to pay. Also, if he got sick, he doesn't have to pay. Also, if she got sick, he doesn't have to pay. Or she's nida. According to halacha, you can't do nisuim on a nida, right? In all of these 3 cases. Very good. What is that? Mezonot? You don't have to pay. Now, how is it a logical conclusion? What's the logic? Right, or say it in a linguistic manner, in a textual manner.
To go from nisu to nasu.
Yes.
And therefore.
Yes, once you say nisu is really naseu. Oh, okay. So in that case, halahu haltai sanida. You understand? Okay.
So are they arguing whether that word, if there's no nakudot in the Mishnah, are they arguing whether that word is the same letters, just pronounced differently?
Because niseu would actually have a yod.
What?
Niseu would be with the yod. Naseu would be without a yod.
And which way is it in the Mishnah?
With the yod, niseu. Meaning we read it as if although there was a yod. So if I was studying the Mishnah Ba'al now, when I was studying the Mishnah, I would say, right? That's what I read.
Actually, in Harambam's Girsah of the Mishnah, there's no
problem.
yod.
I'm sorry?
In Harambam's Girsah of the Mishnah, there's no yod.
I know, it's true. I'm aware of that. I'm curious, maybe, okay, I didn't look at the other kitvayat, but I know that when I studied this Mishnah Be'al Peh, I read it niseu. And I'm pretty sure that's correct. In fact, I'm going to prove to you later that is a correct reading, is niseu and not naseu. Okay, but we'll prove that later. So now, yes.
So, Rob, they moved from niseu, which is pretty much no exceptions.
Yes.
To opening up the door wide open with naseu and lefichach. Why? Is it to give more flexibility? Like, why make that change, I guess?
Well, that's an interesting question. But what we're saying is that, at least from the perspective of Shemuel, and that it all started with Shemuel, because Shemuel is the one who said in the Yerushalmi that, if Hafshuhu Soferim and the 12-month period doesn't fall on Wednesday, it falls on another day. Shemuel is the one who said, Hafshuhu Soferim, you can't make him pay. He's going to be violating the Takanat Soferim. So once you agree with Shemuel, and that's what this Gemara is doing. By the way, the Gemara, by bringing the statement of Shemuel that connects our Mishnah here with the Mishnah there in Perek, is saying we agree with Shemuel, and therefore, yes, lefichach. What does lefichach mean? The Yeshiva is saying, well, if this is correct, then we're going to open up and make other exceptions. That's the idea of the lefichach.
But the lefichach seems to be based on niseu, because the lashon is niseu here.
Right? No. Just everybody agrees that the lashon of the Mishnah is niseu. There's no meaning. It's not that somebody is saying originally the Mishnah was naseu, but somebody made a mistake and added a yod. Nobody's saying that. Yeah. The idea here is the Mishnah says niseu, and that's why when I studied the Mishnah about that, it's niseu, and you'll see later on in the Gemara the Mishnah says niseu, but they're reading it as naseu. We'll see later on. Patience. How can we read niseu?
You're telling us what the future holds.
No, I'm telling you now. I'm telling you, I don't want you to understand now. Nobody's changing the text. They're changing the meaning. They're changing the meaning, and they're saying, yes, it says niseu.
But we don't know that yet, because we didn't say the word naseu yet.
Later on, we'll see that. Later you're correct. You're correct. Later on, we'll see that.
Where did they get the authority to interpret it as need, as not, if it was recorded with authority as need?
Later on, the Gemara will deal with that, and we will address that question. That is a good question. I agree with it, but for now, we're going to put that in abeyance. Okay. Last question.
When the yeshiva is doing the lefichach, they're just doing to refute the naseu, right? They're not really believing that lefichach, therefore, just rather than saying, if you're saying that, that's wrong, because then you would have had.
The lefichach is a conclusion, a logical conclusion of the Yeshva. And I use that word over and over again because I want to show you that logic is just an empty word. In Greek metaphysics and Greek thinking is always based on logic. And you're going to see that logic in rabbinic thinking is just,
But they're bringing
there's idea, I believe it was from Immanuel Kant, but I could be wrong. The antinomy of reason. So any logical argument, you can twist it on its head and bring another logical argument. So I say lefichach is a logical conclusion. I use that word intentionally because you're going to see the Gemara is going to bring the exact opposite logic.
But they're bringing a conclusion that they know is wrong to refute the original.
No, nobody said it's wrong. In fact, the halakha is going to be like the lefichach. The halakha is going to be halahu, haltahi, prsali da, eno ma'aleh lamizot. That is going to be the actual halakha, but not because of logic. Okay, now.
So what is their logic? They're reading
Okay,
it
so
as
wait. Let's study the Gemara. Let's wait. Okay, no more questions from the live audience. If anybody on the on Zoom has questions, please you may do so. And Chacham Aharon, nice to see you. If you have any comments or you want to say something or you want to add something, please let me know. So happy to have you participate.
I think the Yerushalmi corroborates Shemuel, because in the Yerushalmi it says what Shemuel says.
Correct.
And Amar Rabbi Hoshua ben Levi, which is a kind of like a lefichach, he's not disagreeing, so I think it's adding to what Shemuel says. Im hayeta ikuba mahamato nizoned b'shelo. So if he is the one who is causing the delay, then she gets the mizonot, which suggests that if it's an ones, she doesn't get the mizonot.
Yes, I agree. Right? Is that the entire statement of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, or is there a continuation?
I'm just looking on your source sheet, and it ends there.
I see. Yeah, right. Okay, exactly. That's a very good point, by the way. So, and you're going to see that one of the things that the Sugah is going to do is to deal with that issue, and that's where we're at now, which is to say, but first, so this is, I think, what we did last week, and thank you for this paper. Now we're going to continue, and let us continue. So, yes, is there a question? Yes.
Just about Naseu and Niseu. I was looking at different translations, and I didn't find one of them that had it right. So okay,
I think that the missing yod is not it shouldn't mystify us, because don't forget the Mishnayot. Well, okay, put it on the side. We know what the text is. The Gemara affirms and confirms that the text is Niseu. Okay, and we'll see at the end. But why the yod is missing? That's an interesting question.
No, it's not my question. The point I was making is that I was just in the sugya about whether it should be read niseu or naseu and its ramifications. Not a single translation I saw was explaining anything that made any sense. So I just wanted to make sure I understood it correctly. That naseu means the object of the statement is,
naseu means like you have an obligation le'aniach tefillin. You have an obligation litol et halulav, to make it up. So naseu is upon the husband. The husband has to be noseh, or the husbands have to be nosim. And niseu means she becomes its binyan nif'al. She becomes the object of nisuin.
Meaning to say that the word that's missing in the statement, which none of the translations had, it really means that naseu means ha'hatanim shenaseu, and the other one would be kalot sheniseu.
Correct.
Right.
That is correct.
All the translations, none of them had that. They all had something that, in my opinion, made no sense.
Okay, I try to. My father tried to spare me from agmat nefesh. Life brings its own yisurim. So I don't, yes. Okay, let's continue. So now we are really starting the new portion, which we didn't do last week. Ika deba'ela mibaya. Now, I think, Ephraim, you had a question. You said that the question I asked wasn't a good question, because I asked a question that normally when the Gemara brings Ika de Amre, the halacha is like the Ika de Amre, and here the Gemara brings Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya, and the halacha is not going to be like Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya. And you said that's not even a question, because it's not Ika de Amre, it's Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya. The question I asked, and this is my father's question, and my father's point was that it was, if you please just get what you need if you need something. Yes, no problem. The question that I asked is predicated upon Igeret Sherira Gaon and the Geonim, thank you, which state that halacha kebatra'eh. Okay, now I want to deal with the question of halacha kebatra'eh because there is this notion of Yeridat HaDorot that we hear today. So Yeridat HaDorot means that in the past there were great Chachamim and there were great Chachamim, no question. But today we're, so to speak, we're inferior. If the Shulchan Aruch said something, or the Rosh said something, or the Ritzvah said something, or the Rishpa said something, we can't even use our brains to try to process what they said, because who are we to use our limited, lowly brains or lowly neshamot to dare enter that place where we would sort of have a question against one of the Rishonim? Who are we? So that's the idea of Yeridat HaDorot. And Yeridat HaDorot, it's actually, I mean, whether you like it or not, but the Christians have a similar notion as well. They also have the early saints, the church fathers, and you know, for some people that works. And I'm not criticizing the idea. I'm just making you aware of the idea that Yeridat HaDorot is common. It's not uncommon. Interesting, for the Geonim, we have the concept of halacha kebatra'eh, and the concept of halacha kebatra'eh says that because now more generations and then further generations investigated the matter, right? So the idea of the Ika de Amre is the yeshiva looked at the issue, re-examined the issue, meaning a later generation looked at the issue, re-examined the issue, and they said, oh, wait. Oh, we have a different conclusion because we became aware of something that the earlier generation didn't know, right? This is a very important concept in pure rabbinic Talmudic thinking. Meaning, when I say pure rabbinic thinking, I mean rabbinic thinking that hasn't been adulterated with mental ideas that come from the goyim. There's a pasuk that says, meaning there are ideas that we get from the goyim, and we get satisfaction from these ideas. They're very important to us, but they're not our ideas, right? The children of Nochrim, they give us satisfaction. So the idea of Yeridat HaDorot is one idea. The idea of halacha kebatra'eh is another idea. And it doesn't matter whether it's Ika de Amre or Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya, it's still a re-examination of the issue, right? And as noted, the re-examination of the issue doesn't hold water, or for whatever reason the yeshiva doesn't make Pesach. I'll tell you what the reason is. The reason is that the Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya is actually from Rav Aha. And we're going to see later on, Rav Aha quoted explicitly, he is from the Seboraim. So let me explain how that can be. They have Seboraitic material in the Gemara, at least in this case. So Rav Aha was from the generation of Rav Asher. Rav Asher, together with Rav Asher, they edited the Talmud, they edited the text of the Talmud as we have it. But because Rav Aha was a member of the yeshiva, sometimes you'll see material from Rav Aha in the Gemara, right? So this Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya represents a post-Talmudic addition with an A, not edition, addition of Rav Aha, where he re-examined the issue, but because it was Seboraitic, everybody makes Pesach not like Rav Aha, they make Pesach like Rav Asher. So I needed to explain that particular point. Now we're going to read what the Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya says. But before I do that, Aharon, Chacham Aharon, I believe you had a question. I may be wrong.
Yes.
I think.
No, yes. When was the Le'olam articulated and by whom?
Le'olam.
Le'olam emalach kol omsa la'achla.
Le'olam emalach kol. That's later on, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was articulated by the Yeshiva Rabbah. We'll see later on how we know that. And in fact, as long as you brought that up, this sugya was formulated by Rabbah, or during the days of Rava, and we're going to understand later on the connection, how Rava is connected with this. But what's important for the students sitting here is Rashi says that it was Rabbi Yosef who said Ela it Malachi itma. It's a little difficult to say that Rabbi Yosef, who brought the original Memra, said Ela it Malachi itma. He asked a question. Yes, he does. But so it was the Yeshiva of Rava, who was a generation later, who formulated the sugya that we have and revisited or reconstructed the statement of Shemuel as we have it in the second version. And we're going to see that this Gemara is actually a Gemara of the Yeshiva of Rava. Rava was the Rosh Yeshiva from Bedita, but actually he moved the Yeshiva in his days. I guess he lived in a place called Mechoza. Maybe Mechoza was like Surfside, Florida. He didn't want Surfside, Miami. He didn't want to leave there. Maybe the Yeshiva was in a place more like New York. So he forced everybody to move to Surfside. Again, I'm just speculating. I have zero evidence for that. That's just a fantasy in my mind. But the point is that they moved the Yeshiva to Mechoza for his kavod, or for his honor. All right.
Oh, sorry, and I also asked, when was Ika de Ba'ule Mibaya pronounced and by whom? And the Lashon doesn't feel like a regular Ba'ya, like Ba'alehu Rapapa, or Rapapa, right? Or Ba'ale somebody. That's a formal Ba'ya. This doesn't feel like a formal Ba'ya presented to a Yeshivat Emoraim.
And that's why it's from the Sevoraim. I mean, your observations are spot on. The Lashon is a little off, and therefore, and that's one of the reasons that we know this is actually from Rabaha and from the Sevoraim. So by the text being edited in this way, using this Lashon, we already know there's something different here.
But it feels like Rab Asher heard about this Ba'ya, and he responded to it without it being formally presented in his days.
100%, exactly. 100%. That is the correct conclusion. So this Ika de Ba'ya Lamimi, Rav Asher was still alive when this took place, and so Rav Asher is the Rosh Yeshiva. Rav Asher has the goes according to the leficha halahu haltai b'sanita. That's the way the majority make pesakalacha. But rabbinic protocol dictates that you have a dissenting opinion, and we want to record the dissenting opinion. In this case, the dissenting opinion will be an opinion of the daughter of the Savoraim, and therefore it's brought as Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya. You can't ignore a dissenting opinion. Okay?
How do we know definitively who brought that? Like it was Savoraim or Rabaha.
So from the Lashon, also from the fact that later on Abchai is brought, and we see his opinion is exactly this opinion. We'll see. Okay? All right, so now let us continue in the Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya. And I love, again, I'm just saying logical, but everybody understands the logic. I can give you a much better logic for the other side. Okay? So you see that rabbinic thinking is not based on just logic in the abstract. Okay? I have to say that. So Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya. Who wants to read? I'm sorry, Machila. Natan, you want to read? If you don't want, I'm not going to put you on the spot. If you don't want to read. Okay. Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya. Hallahu. Mahu. Right. So now he's bringing this as a question. You brought it before as a conclusion. I'm going to bring it as a question. Let's think about it. Let's think about it carefully. Let's say he got sick. What should the law be in that case? Continue. Hatam. In the case of Hafshu Soperim, in the case where the wedding was other than, rather the 12-month period expired other than on a Wednesday. What's the reason? Mishum de Anis. He's Anus. Hafshu Soperim. Anis. Also, here was Anus. The guy's sick. That's honest. This is honest. He should be patur. Or Dilma. Bitkanta de, it says the takinu le, but it's a mistake, of course. It's not a takanta de takinu le, it's takanta de takinu la, right? So Odilma hatamanis bitkanta de takinu la rabbana. Or maybe you say, wait, hold on 1 second. In the case of Hafshu Soferim, why did they make the takana that the wedding should be on Wednesday? What was the reason? Shakedu. For whose benefit did they make that? They made it for her benefit. So for her benefit, we're saying we're willing to postpone the wedding, right? For her benefit. Who said for his benefit we're postponing the wedding?
We shouldn't.
We didn't. Nobody said that. So you see again, logic. Logic. It's logical. I mean, it's just logic, right? Logic is a thin veneer, right? That's all it is. It's a thin veneer. So the point is, I think this is more logical, actually. I think this is more logical. The original ones was because of Hakamim made a takana for her benefit. This ones, if we were to accept it, that he doesn't have to pay her, it's for his benefit. You understand?
How did this error get in here that it switches it from tequila to le, which is exactly opposite?
Oh, right. No, there's a lot of mistakes in this is the Dilma Shas, and the truth, the Dilma Shas is not it's not the most accurate version of the Shas, and there's other problems. I don't want to get into it now.
So which one is?
There was an article that my father gave me. Alav Shalom, my father gave me an article by Professor Tashema, where he has a historical study of how texts were intentionally amended to meet certain concerns or to deal with certain questions that people had, logical questions. I don't want to get into that now. The point is, it's bitkanta takinu laha rabbana achala, and in this case, if he's sick, there is no takana for her benefit. The imtima seloma. Let me explain to you what the imtima seloma. The imtima seloma is a technical term. So this is a principle of Hanabam and Darif. When you have the imtima seloma, it means that the person asking the question accepts the second alternative of the previous question. There's a series of questions, and then you say the imtima seloma. And if you want to say, meaning if you want to agree with the second alternative, what's the second alternative in this case? Hachala. That we're not going to allow him to get away with not paying her just because he got sick, right? So the imtima selamat, and if you accept the idea that we won't allow him not to pay her just because he's sick, right? Allahu, who wants to read? Isaac, you want to read? Imtima selamat, Allahu, if you have the place.
Imtima selamat, Halahu.
Timma selamat.
Imtima selamat, Halahu, Ma'alela, Mezonot, Khaltahi.
Mahu, what about if she got sick? Now you said that if he gets sick, we're not gonna. That's not an excuse. What about if she got sick? You understand? Okay.
For her benefit.
What?
Now it's for her
Now it's for her benefit. Exactly. Mima said that the word mi is missing here. Mima say amala. Continue.
Mase amala.
Mima say amala. Yeah. Mima say.
Mima say amala. Ana
hakaima. Now she's sick, and he's saying, I want to get married. I don't want to be penalized. I'm not paying for your I'm here. I'm ready for the wedding. Where are you, honey? I'm in the wedding hall. They're taking pictures. Dilma. Masya amra le.
Nistahfa
sadeu. Or maybe he said, wait, hold on 1 second. Okay, 1 second. I got sick. Me getting sick. That's your field. Nistahifa sadehu. Your field just got flooded. Let me explain to you the concept of your field just got flooded. There's a lot to say on this. Okay, let me first explain what the halakha is, the law, because you can look at the mefarshim and you can understand what's going on. That's going to give you the simple law. The Shita Mekubeset brings the Ramban and the Ra'ah, they explain it. If a person now gets a field. I want to rent the field. Reuven wants to rent the field from Shimon. So Reuven rents the field. Shimon is the owner. After he rents the field, nistahifa sadehu. Nistahifa sadehu. The field gets flooded. What am I going to do with flooded field? I can't use it. So then Shimon, the owner, tells me, so that's your problem. You rented the field for me. I gave you the field. Nistahifa sadehu. I'm sorry. There are cases where it's mekach ta'ut. We're going to explain in a moment. There would be a situation where the guy can, for example, give you an example where it would be mekach ta'ut. The guy now wants to plow the field. Now he went to the field from Shimon. Reuven rents it from Shimon. I want to plant wheat here. Do you have a wheat field? Yeah, I have a great wheat field. Okay. So now Reuven tries to plow the field. It's all stone. You don't say nistahifa sadeo. The field is not, you can't use it for planting. You can't use it for agriculture. It was rented for agriculture. That's mekach ta'ud. We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with a field that is in good condition and you can plant in it. But afterwards, after the fact, something happened from the outside, namely a flood, and the guy can't plant in it. So in that case, what does Shimon tell Reuven? Sorry, can't help you. You must have hashkacha peratit, something going wrong with your hashkacha peratit. That's exactly what nistahifa sadeu means. Your hashkacha peratit, it's a good feeling. And I used it all the time, and now you want to use it, and it's not going for you. Maybe you should make teshuvah. I don't know. Maybe you have to. You're doing something wrong. Nistahifa sadeu. Okay. I want to read you Rashi. Look at Rashi. Right? It says, Leshon matar sohef. Correct. Nistahifa means it's flash flood, a rain that's so powerful that it washes away everything. Nishtatefa sadecha. Your field was flooded. Kelomar mazalcha garam. So what does Rashi say? Rashi says, your mazal, you have bad luck. He uses the word luck. Mazalcha garam, me'ayom ani mutelet alecha lazun. So the wife is telling the husband, it's your bad luck. I became nida. That's like the field becoming flooded. And bad luck for you. Okay. Look at also the Tosafot. Where is the Tosafot? It's the top of the next page.
So her getting sick is his bad luck.
No, nida. What are we up to? I'm sorry, no, my mistake. I misspoke. Her getting sick is his bad is his bad luck. She's his possession, right? And okay, look at Tosafot. Masya Amra, top of the next page. Masya Amra nistahifa sadeo. The enochalit on the adraba mazalcha garam now. Now he's addressing Rashi. So what? Well, if she's saying it's your bad luck, why can't he say no? It's the husband can say no, honey, my bad luck. It's your bad luck. Right? The Kevin de la mifkeda pirya beribia, since she doesn't have the obligation of pirya beribia, la me'ansha. She wouldn't be punished in this way. Okay. All right. So first of all, I want to introduce you to a certain concept. It's called, what is it called? Judicial astrology. Let me tell you. I know, and I think my colleague quoted in some of his articles, the idea of judicial astrology was prevalent in the Middle Ages. And the idea was that, for example, bad luck is a claim recognized in courts in the Middle Ages. That was a wrong astrological sign. It's not my fault. So in this case, just to apply it specifically, Shimon, according to Rashi and Tosafot, is telling Reuven, it's your bad luck. There's astrology and Zal and Mazal Chagaram. Right. So this idea. Just Google judicial astrology. I didn't try to Google it, but I'm sure you'll see some interesting information on that. First of all, the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, I think I have it in the source sheet. Shabbat Kof Nun Vav. The halacha, this is a shita that brings mazal, but the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan. Look at the source sheet. Rabbi Yochanan Amar and Mazal Yisrael. The halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan. The Hazar Rabbi Yochanan leTamed Amar Rabbi Yochanan menayin she'en Mazal Yisrael, and he brings this. So you see here in the sugya also Rav Savar and Mazal Yisrael, and so on.
That's why they question, like, how could you say Chodesh Adar is a good mazal?
Right. So I want to go to court on Chodesh Adar. So according to the Gemara, and Mazali said, or Tisha B'Av, the 9 days, I want to go to court. So I said, I don't want to go to court now. It's a bad mazal. Now, the idea of mazal, at least from our perspective, from the perspective of Harambam, or the perspective of the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, is an odd imposition upon the text, meaning adding the idea of Mazal Chagaram to a legal discussion would be appropriate in the context of the Middle Ages from which the Rashi and Tosafot were. Of course, they were in the Middle Ages, and I understand fully why for them they process it in the terms of Mazal Chagaram. But in the days of the Gemara, they didn't accept that type of reasoning. And today we don't have the idea of astrology. Nobody takes astrology seriously. I mean, I hope nobody takes astrology seriously. Maybe I'm being overly confident when I say that. Listen to this. But the point is, it's not something to be taken seriously, certainly. And so the idea of nistahipa said that was a legal concept. And the question is, who has liability? Is it the renter, the person who's the lessee of the field, or the lessor of the field, right? It's a purely legal issue. And the idea of the legal issue, when you say Mazal Chagaram, you missed the main point. And the main point is that something happened from the outside. And this outside thing wasn't foreseeable. It's not like the example I brought where you plow the field and it's all stone. Let's make a ta'ud. No, I'll give you an example of nistahipa sadeo. Let's say tsunami. I'll give you a better example. You plant the seeds, and birds come, and let me see how to mute people. Gur, can you mute your microphone, please? All right. Birds come and they eat these seeds. That's not like a ta'ud.
It's foreseeable.
No, it's not foreseeable. It's not a question of foreseeable. It's not like a ta'ud. Something from the outside came. Birds came, and they ate the seeds. That's like this. You see, it's very important to be very precise in the way we analyze this text. And give me a moment. Somebody's mic is on. I'm going to try to mute it right now. I think I know how to do this. I'm becoming an expert.
The flood versus the bird, the flood being unpreventable, and the bird being that you're supposed to protect it from the birds one way or another.
It worked. No, right. No. You have a huge field in Kansas, cornfield. You're going to tell the birds not to come. But the point is that I'm giving you the law is that's an external, unforeseeable event, or maybe it doesn't foreseeable, not foreseeable. It's something external to the field. And because it's external to the field, it's not like a ta'ud. It's not like you were plowing it and ends up the whole thing is stone. You understand? So that's why it's so important to look at things legally and not through astrology or to impose ideas for the Middle Ages upon the text of the Gemara. Because if you do that, you miss the whole point. And you're not going to understand the further discussion in the Gemara. Okay, so I just want to point that out.
I think we have a wholly analogous set of concepts in American law, and probably in modern European law as well. So what you call mekah ta'ud is the warranty of fitness for a particular purpose. And that's recognized by the UCC and many state laws, right? So if I sell you a car, it's understood without us having to put a warranty into the contract, the lease contract or the sales contract, that the car drives, right? That it has an engine, it has tires and brakes. So if it doesn't, you've breached the warranty of fitness for a particular purpose.
Yes.
But unless we specifically contract for strict liability, means anything that's an act of God or a tsunami or an earthquake, or I'm driving the car and I fall into the water because there's a terrorist attack. Unless you specifically warrant me as the owner against that happening, that liability, that risk I take.
Very nice. Very nice. Excellent. Okay, good. That's nice to put it like in modern legal terms, right? So mekah ta'ud, warranty, fitness for a particular purpose. Here the purpose, of course, is being I want to plant wheat. It's stone. It's not fit for planting wheat, right? Good. Okay. So now let's continue. Isaac, read a little. Actually, Eli, why don't you read? We didn't have you read yet. 2 lines from the bottom of the page.
אמרה לה נסתחפה שדהו, פרסה נידה, מהו? בשעת וסתה, לא תבחר.
פרסה נידה מהו, okay, so the question now, אם תמסה לומר, if you go to accept the previous, the second alternative of the previous question, what was the second alternative? דימה מסיה אמרה לה, נסתחפה שדהו. She tells him, sorry, tough luck, you have to pay. I got sick and you have to pay. It's your tough luck, right? So if you're going to accept, because where does the virus come from?
Outside.
It comes from the outside. It comes from the outside. All right. So if you're going to accept the premise, the idea of not mazal, something from the outside which affects the field, something from the outside affected the lady, she caught a virus, she got sick. What about
if it's from you?
Now you understand. Now you understand the question. What's the law in Pirsanida? Wait, hold on. You understand now? This is not Nisahifa Saleh.
This is her now.
Pirsanida, everybody, every month, for whatever, a week or so, Pirsanida. That's now. So now I'm not going to answer the question. B'shat b'sta, lativ elach. B'shat b'sta, I'm not going to answer the question. What does it mean? B'shat b'sta, I'm not going to answer the question.
But Tosafot brought. But then Matzi Amarla, he brought ve'od ha'isha hi sadeh shel ha'ba'al ve'en ha'ba'al sadeh shela.
Okay, right. Okay, no problem. Right. Fine. But now the point is
the concept with lechem, that lechem zoishto.
Okay, no problem. But the important point is Pirsanida, everybody understands that if Pirsanida, lativ elach. Meaning, the 12-month period comes. He says, honey, I'm ready to marry you. I brought the Hazanim. They're all here on the thing. We have 7-hour chuppah. They're going to be every Disney World melody ever done. We're going to do just one Disney melody after another. And we're going to do 5 hours of Elton John. This is the modern day wedding. I'm here. Everybody, the whole orchestra, everybody's here. Okay? She says, I'm nida. Says, you're nida. You're going to be penalized now. So b'sha'at b'sta, lativ elach. Everybody agrees he doesn't have to pay her.
Part of the warranty of fitness.
So now the question is, why doesn't he have to pay her?
It's part of the product. It's a normal part of the product. Just have a visit.
So far, all we know is that when Habshu Soferim, in that only case, and only in the case of Habshu Soferim, he's absolved. He doesn't have to pay. What percentage that we say he doesn't have to pay? Well, how is that different than sickness?
But we say
because halakha is it's a trick question.
Sickness, we say
really, according to halakha, you're not supposed to do nisuin if the woman is nida. Today, halakha le'maaseh, I'm telling you that they do it. That's meaning the real halakha is that shalom nida. There's a situation like that. He's not supposed to be machlit tzalachupah, but take $100,000, throw it to the down to the garbage. Nobody can afford that. So I'm telling you that there's a difference between the halakha and the practice. The halakha is if she's nida, chafshuhu soferim. You understand? That's chafshuhu soferim. The hachamim are not going to allow a wedding and they're going to say machnis ota lachuppah, but you're not going to be with her. That's Allah chuppah. That's it. Okay. So the point is today, for whatever reason, they do it. I was once in a wedding and somebody whatever.
But they say they have to have shomrim.
And they did the okay, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The point is the halakha is you're not supposed to be machnis lachuppah isha nida. We do it, but the point is habshuhu soferim. So that's an excuse similar to the excuse of sorry, the Hachamim want me to get married. I want the wedding to take place on Wednesday. You're a betula, so here the same thing. Hachamim are not going to let a nisuin take place of a niddah. You understand? So that's why it says b'shat b'sta lativ elach. It's obvious answer. But the lamas yamra le. Continue reading. In that case, you can't say nistahifa sadeh. Okay, that's not nistahifa sadeh. That's a natural cycle of the woman, right? And it's not from the outside; it's from the inside, right? It's part of the nature. What did you say, Laniato? It's part of the package, right? There's no problem with that. That's what happens. When you ask the question, it's like you're saying, I rented a cornfield in Nebraska, and there was a snowstorm in the winter. Like, okay, I can't do anything with the field. It's snowing there. What, you didn't know that it snows in Nebraska in the winter? It snows sometimes. That's what happens. You understand? So she's nida. That's it. That's just a natural thing, right? But the word beset in Hebrew means a natural rhythm. Just so you know what the word it means. So b'shat b'sta lativ elach. Shelo b'shat b'sta. The real question is shelo b'shat b'sta ma'ai.
כיוון דלא בשעת בסתא, הווה מסיע אמרה
לנסתחפה שדה. Since in the case of losh beshat besta, she can tell him
it's like the flooded field.
She can make that same argument that she made before, meaning normally I don't have a period at this time of month. I don't know what happened. So what's she going to tell him? She can tell him, look, sorry, right, it didn't work for you, did it?
It just comes with the territory.
It just happened, yes, okay. Odilma,
כיוון דאיכא נשה דקה.
כיוון דאיכא נשה דקה משנה, it says משניה, it should be דקה משנה, right? כיוון דאיכא נשה דקה משנה וסתאי, הוא really correctly now. כיוון דאיכא נשה
דקה משנה וסתאי הוא
כשעת בסתא דמה.
כשעת בסתא דמה.
Or maybe the argument would be, well, no, is it so uncommon for a woman to have a shinui vestet? Is that really like a flood that comes from the outside of the field? Is that really like the birds that come and eat the seeds? Something on? No. Sometimes it happens that this the period was 30 days and that was 29 days. That was 27 days. That was 35 days. It happens, right? That's the question. That's the question. So Pashit Rav Achai or Rav Acha.
הגיע הזמן ולא נישאו.
ולא נישאו.
נישאו אוכלות משלו ואוכלות בתרומה.
He says, look, this is an absolute statement. הגיע הזמן ולא נישאו, אוכלות משלו ואוכלות בתרומה. That's an absolute statement. לא נשאו.
לא נשאו, לא קטנה.
לא קטנה. Doesn't say, the Mishnah doesn't say נשאו. If it said נשאו, then as noted, there's an obligation upon the husband to marry her, and when there's an obligation, if he's anus, okay, we would allow it. It says lo niseu, right? Ela
lo niseu.
It says lo niseu. There should be no exceptions. Okay, so hold on one second. So now, yeah, let me first read to you. Let's just read the Tosafot on the side before we even continue. Look at the substance of Rav Achai or Rav Acha. So Pashit Rav Achai.
This halacha was done by the rabbis to protect the woman, right? It's not a.
Yes, I mean the law of shakedu was done to protect the woman. Correct.
No, this also, right?
But in a sense, yeah, you can say that. Well,
so why
it's wait, hold on. That halacha is imposing a financial liability upon a bum that just doesn't want to get married for whatever reason. He gave her kiddushin. The woman can't do anything now. You know, she's waiting for him to marry her, and the guy's like dragging his feet in the mud, right? So
why would Chachamim include that without exception? If there is a noose, they should say the Chachamim are putting this on him. But if you're a noose, okay, we get it. You're a noose.
Well, I mean that's the discussion.
More of a guy who's just being reluctant than being selfish.
Right, I mean that's the discussion that Shemuel started when he said Anis kantat takinula Rabbanan, right? The Gemara said, right? So the discussion was started exactly by Shemuel, and that's why Rabbeinu Hakadosh, and this is the Hidush of the Sugya, Rabbeinu Hakadosh starts Masechet Ketubot with Betulani said B'Yom Revi'i to register the minhag, and by registering the minhag, that affects has a like we said last week on Dinei Mamonot, that in Dinei Mamonot, when you have minhag medina, it's just a minhag, but it affects Dinei Mamonot, right? So here, the minhag of Yom Revi'i affects the Dinei Mamonot of Meshalim LaMezonot. They say, wait, hold on, but Anis Pitkanta Tetakinu La Rabbanan, he can't marry her, right? So that's the point. That's exactly the point of the sugya. So first, I want to just read Tosafot. Pashit Rav Achai. Lo kemo shepirash Rashbam dehainu Rav Achai Gaon. So Rav Rashbam is saying this Rav Achai is Rav Achai Gaon. So the Tosafot are saying no, that's incorrect. Rav Achai Gaon is the author of the She'itov, which is much later, right? She'asa She'itov. It's actually at the end of the. It wasn't Sofek Yoni. It was much later than Moraim. Velachem Meshane leshono bechol. Oh no, I'm sorry. I think I'm misreading the Tosafot. Ve'aya besof kol ha'emoraim. This Rav Achai is besof kol ha'emoraim. I think that's what they meant. Ulchach meshane leshono bechol hashas. Parich Rav Achai. Pashit Rav Achai. Share kan Rav Asher oneh al devarav. Ela omer Rabbeinu Tam shehu emora. בכל אמורה היה תופס לשונו. Okay, so they say that this Rav Achai was an emora. They couldn't have known that that's just not this. The whole emora is a French expression. I don't know what the French was, but my father told me some French expression. I said I don't know what that means. I'm saying to you that the Hebrew is a translation of a French idiomatic expression. Okay, whatever it means, they didn't know that there was a Rav Aha or Rav Achai at the beginning of the days of the Sevoraim, right? So just I want you to be aware that this Rav Achai is actually, he was a member of the yeshiva of Rav Asher, but he was formerly the beginning, he was the first generation of the Sevoraim. Okay, just so you know, this Pashit Rav Achai is. Okay, so Pashit Rav Achai is the minority opinion, right? And now you understand that he was the one who dissented. And he says, look, the Mishnah says, okay, so now let's see. How do we understand the matter? Continue.
Okay. Pashit Rav Achai הגיע הזמן
Okay, how do we understand when it says lo niseu? So the way that we have lo niseu, right? Now, what would be the situation of higiyah zaman velo niseu? Ideka me'akevan inhi
amai ochelot mishelo ve'ochlot bateruma.
So the ikuva is from them, meaning she refuses to get married. Okay. She refuses to get married. So we're not dealing with her refusing to get married, because if she refused to get married, they have a very good scam. A beautiful lady goes to her daddy, I'm going to have the guy make kiddushin to me, pretend like I'm in love. And then 12 months later, I refuse to get married, and then he's going to have to start supporting me. Right? That's a good scam. No, it says, so Rav Achai says, if they're me'akevot, he wants, I want to marry you. Are you sick? No. Are you nidan? No. Am I sick? No. Is it raining? No. Weather's beautiful. I don't want to get married. Said, uncle, you have to pay me mizonot. Husband, the father of the bride, give me the money, right? So that's not possible. So under what circumstances did we say it can't be the circumstance that she's refusing to get married? It must be that it was a situation of this type of onus, not that she's intentionally refusing to get married. She's nida, either shelo b'sha'at vesta. So she's nida shelo b'sha'at vesta, and under that situation, we're saying even though she's nida shelo b'sha'at vesta, right? And you would say, well, he's going to tell her, I don't know. I mean, that's not fair. You can't say this is unusual, something. So he said, no, he has to pay. Teaches us that even in that situation, so the only exception then would be if Hafshuhu Soferim. And we know two cases of Hafshuhu Soferim. One case of Hafshuhu Soferim is the wedding of the 12-month period ended any day other than Wednesday. Second case would be Nida. If she's Nida, everybody agrees, he can't marry her. Nobody's going to argue at that point. But if she's willing to get married, and she says, oh, honey, I just got Nida. I said, oh my gosh, but it's Shalom B'Shat B'Stech. Sorry. By the way, I want to go to reserve cut tomorrow, and I just want to eat. I'm just in the mood for steak. I'll send you the bill. Yes, send her the bill. Send her the bill, right? Okay, you understand the point? We're going to take a 5-minute break now, and then we're going to do this. I'm going to summarize. We'll do a little summary. This is the first half of the sugya. The second half of the sugya is going to come up after the break. Okay? We didn't give it down. We still have a few more lines to go to finish the first half of the sugya. I misspoke. We're going to bring the shita of Rav Asher. Then we're going to go to the second half of the sugya. Let's take a break. Water, cookies. You think they'll give us something?
Is there any way for him to get out of it if he doesn't want to get married?
I'm sorry?
And you think she might say after 12, I don't want to get married anymore.
She's not allowed to. She has 12 months, he has 12 months.
And if he doesn't want to get married her anymore, what does he do?
the plate.
She doesn't want to marry?
If he doesn't want to marry her anymore.
The only thing he can do is he would have to give her a get. I mean, what is he gonna do?
She's stuck.
She's
stuck no
Mikudesha.
matter what. Mikudesha. She can't get out.
So he has to give a get and break the engagement
And pay, yeah.
and pay the value of it.
Okay, gentlemen, let's take a 5-minute break. I don't want to, I'm not gonna eat anything. Pour me some water, Shalom.
Rabbi,
Yes,
if she has nidah below b'sha'at v'star,
yes.
wouldn't it also be habshu hachamim? Is because the takana that they made, that you
Right.
can't get married during a nidah,
You're
still
correct.
applies. So why would it be
That's a valid question. Let me think about it. I like that question. It's a good question, by the way.
Can you repeat the question?
I'm gonna repeat the question.
Yes, Rabbi, go ahead.
I said if she has nidah, even lo b'sha'at v'star, he's still habshu hachamim because the takana against getting married during nidah still applies. So why does it matter b'sha'at v'star or lo b'sha'at v'star?
That's a good question. I have to think about it.
Because one is because it's not just Hafshu Soferim, it also is equivalent to Haltahi.
Yeah, but we said that Haltahi, didn't we say that
Separate issue.
Haltahi, wait, we said that Haltahi, he has to pay her because she can send his tahifa sadeu. You remember
Right.
that? So now, if it's nidav shelo b'sha'at vesta lativ elav, so she can say, okay, let me think about it. Good question. And then yodea sarich yun. That's a very good question. Okay, let's give it a 5-minute break also from talking. Yeah, just 5 minutes. Just Mehila, we have 3 minutes left for the break. Okay, and then we're gonna.
Water?
He needs
Well,
to
water
grease-
I got. Thank you. I
he
have.
has to grease his cords.
All right.
Wait, he's not really. I wouldn't have given it.
Either way, starting January 1st, we're paying for money in Right, so there's plenty to know, like, if we're close to the house first. So you're like, you don't have to go. You're not paying anyway.
I'll find you at all the right places.
You don't know, you're paying because you don't know.
Depends who you ask.
If you ask me,
Right place.
if you ask me in the right places.
But we do that.
So it's only a matter of time before it starts.
So we were supposed to buy it, but I didn't. That's the thing. No matter what you do, you're paying for the juice.
You're saying that there's some inherent benefit in being married.
That's all I'm saying.
It's just He's paying for it, but she's also making dinner. She's also making the bed. She's not there.
But what's interesting, I saw on the Mishnah.
Before start,
Yes.
can I
If they want.
ask for help for translating the word?
Yes. Yeah, just hold on 1 second. Just in 1 minute, I'm gonna let you ask Shemuel.
Yes.
Yeah, just 1 minute, please. Yes, I'm gonna let you ask a question in a minute.
I think that's what we do today.
No,
That's what we do today, that's why. But Mori Kafir says it or who says it?
Mori Kafir brings down on the Rambam. Basically says that where the Gemara is going back and forth with Wednesday and Thursday, love Dafka, because we see what they do when they used to sit only there. So it depends on the place where they're getting.
Yeah, but I think that's what it said originally.
No.
I think that's what the Mishnah opened up.
The
שפעמים בשבת בתי דינים יושבים בעיירות, בעיירות, meaning in the cities.
Okay, all right, so gentlemen, We will continue. We will be continuing now. So everybody get your cookies, get your cake, get your drink. Shalom, give me another drink, please. Give me this, please. Shalom. Let Ike pour it. Okay, you get the mitzvah. Okay. Fine. All right. So first of all, Shemuel, you had a question. Where are you sitting?
I'm in Brazil.
Brazil. Okay. Nice to see you. And what is the question?
I need some help with translating the words. Hidaka meikven inhu. It's.
I'm sorry. Where is that? Where are you looking?
Hidame, and then the answer is Idaka.
Oh, hechidame. Yeah, idaka me'akevan ini. I understand. Yes. Ella lo niseu. Okay, hechidame. How do we? Okay, hechidame would be. What is the circumstances in which we say ochilot mishol ve'echolot b'truma? Hechidame. Dame milashon. I think. Domeh maybe. Hechidame. Under what circumstances would we say this? And then they say, ideka me'akevan ini. Ideka, if it's in a situation that, right? Ideka means if that. So if it's a situation that me'akevan ini, that they're making, that the wife is making, right? Does that help you?
Okay. And the other word is kihai gavana. What's that?
Ella kihai gavna. Hai gavna means this situation. Hai. Isn't it a situation where the onus was such as this, namely, right? Namely, no. That it was Wednesday, right? Meaning that the ikuv was not because she refused to get married, but the ikuv was because they couldn't get married because of Abshu, like this circumstance. The Katanehem, they said, even though. This no, mechila. I gamna means this circumstance, meaning Allahu haltai salida, right? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'm sorry. Let us now continue. And I said mistakenly. I'm sorry that I said before it's the end of part 1. It's not the end of part 1. And I will finish Beli Neder. The Surat HaDishmateta, I just gave a very rough Surat HaDishmateta on the source sheet. I'm going to work on it this week just to finish it for you. But for now, Amar Rav Asher. Rav Asher represents the majority opinion of the yeshiva, and if you remember, we said lefichach, and I think Chacham Aaron asked, "What is the lefichach from?" And I think I said Rava. It's not Rava. It's Rav Asher. Okay, so if you go back to the previous page, it said lefichach halahu o shechaltahi o shepirsani da. We said v'chomer eno ma'aleh lamezonot, right? So now we see where this whole idea comes from. Amar Rav Asher leolam emalach kol onsa la'achla. Rav Asher says that any situation where there is onus, she doesn't get to eat. She doesn't get to have her expenses paid. La means he doesn't have to pay her mezonot, right? So if the 12-month period expires and there's some sort of onus, because in the original Girsa, I don't know if you remember last week when we read Leficha Halahu o Shechaltahi o Shepirsani da Beromer. I remember I read Beromer. That's the original Girsa. So that's what Rav Asher is saying. It's not just these 3 cases. Le'olam emalach kol onsa la'achla. So pirsanida, b'shat b'stah, shelo b'shat b'stah, halahu, hatahi, something happened, he wouldn't have to pay her mezonot. When do we say he has to pay her mezonot? If she's ready and he decides he doesn't want to do the wedding yet for whatever reason, he doesn't want to get married yet. Udka me'akeve inhu. He makes the ikuv, not an honest. And you're right. The Mishnah should have said it shouldn't have said lo niseu. And Ephraim, this goes to the question you asked me before. Of course, the Girsa or the Nosach of the Mishnah is niseu. Right here we see explicit in the Gemara. So why do we read it? Right, but I did the Tana Resha Bedidhi, Tana Namesepa Bedidhi. The same way the Resha, the Mishnah, the beginning of the Mishnah deals with the wife, refers in the feminine gender. So the continuation of the Mishnah, Tana Namesepa Bedidhi, it's in the feminine gender. So it's Niseu, meaning the women are not the subject of the Nisuim, and not Naseu, meaning that the men have to do Nisuim. I'm going to explain that in a moment. But just for now, you will see that the correct nosach of the Mishnah is Niseu, not Naseu.
What is the Resha here?
We'll see. But I just want to explain that for now, you see it's Niseu, right? Everybody gets that? Meaning, there's an overarching, what Rav Asher is teaching us, and this is the opinion of the yeshiva, and this again, Chacham Aaron, this was the Lefichach was Rav Asher, meaning Rav Asher is the one who introduces the idea of Kol Onsa La'achla, right? And or he formulates it in a final manner, and the yeshiva agrees Kol Onsa La'achla, and now we understand the Lefichach. If the honest was whatever the reason, Kol Onsa La'achla. And we don't care why there was an honest. Okay, so that's the end of the first part. Of course, I have to explain that what it means the idea, and I'm going to explain that in a moment. But first, where is the Masechet Tin? Okay, I just want to. I'm sorry, my mistake. No, don't get Masechet Tin yet. That's the second part. Masechet Ketubot. Here, let's open it in the Gemara. Okay, let's open it in the Gemara. Perek Hamishi, and we'll see it in a moment. So if you look at the Mishnah, right? So it's referred. It says, I'm looking at Daf Nun Daled Amud Bet. Apal pi she'amru betula gova 200 ואלמנה מנה. אם מנסה להוסיף, יוסיף. התאלמנה, נתקרשה. אוקיי. מן הנישואין גובה את הכל, מן הנישואין בתולה. I'm just skipping. אלמנה מנה, right? שלא כתב לה, אלא על מנת לכונסה, and so on. Okay, let's go now to the next Mishnah. The next Mishnah is דף נ"ז. נותנים לה בתולה 12 חודש, ושתבעה הבעל לפרנס את עצמה. Who is referring to the בתולה? שנותנים לאישה כך נותנים לאיש לפרנס את עצמו ולמנה 30 יום. Now, הגיע הזמן ולא נישאו. Again, it's referring to the betula. So you see that if you go back to the first Mishnah and you continue onwards, you'll see that it's referring always to the betula, to the betula, to the betula. And now I want to explain to you what Rav Asher is saying. He's saying, you're correct. It says niseu, which would be a type of strict liability, but we should understand it as naseu. Okay. Oh, but then Rabbeinu HaKadosh should have written or should have edited the Mishnah properly. He should have edited the Mishnah. Higia zeman velo naseu. No, you're right. He should have. It would have been better, but no. He wrote niseu aideh. So what does aideh mean? Let me explain to you the principle of aideh. And we're here now, and I forgot to bring the golden doves. But okay, no, not a problem. So first, that's in page 91 of the golden doves. Page 91 of the golden doves. And section 4 of the golden doves. My father deals with the project started by the Akiba, continued by the Meir, and then finalized by the Rabbeinu HaKadosh to edit the Torah Shebe'al Peh in a particular format. It shows whatever content he chose, because there could have been many different contents he could have chosen. He could have chosen other Tanaitic material, but he chose the Tanaitic material of Rabbi Meir, who was the Talmid of Rabbi Akiva. There was other Tanaim. Okay, that's the material he chose. He could have also chosen different types of style. The style that Rabbeinu HaKadosh chose in editing the Mishnah was predicated upon the fact that the Mishnah was to be known Be'al Peh. Wow. So, we didn't need Mishnayot. If we had the Sanhedrin was a repository of the Torah Shebe'al Peh, and the Sanhedrin they would make Pesach halacha based upon what they received from the previous generation, let's say, or they would make gezerot, they would make takanot, they would institute minhagim as they wish, but you didn't need mishnayot. Comes to be Akiva, he says Salidim is going to be destroyed. We need to have an authority. There's going to be no Salidim. So the authority, the Torah Shebe'al Peh, is going to be in the Mishnayot. And again, he chose what he chose. Maybe he could have chosen something better. I don't know. Okay. He chose to be Akiva, to be Meir. That's what he chose. Now, because everybody had to study it Be'al Peh, because if they don't study Be'al Peh, this could be forgotten. And the whole point is we don't have a Sanhedrin, we need an authority. What's the authority? The Mishnayot. Who knows the Mishnayot? All the Chachamim know the Mishnayot Be'al Peh. Okay, so now, to know the Mishnayot Be'al Peh is not easy. Did anybody study the Shisha Sitla Mishnah Be'al Peh? It's tough. Okay. We study a Masechet here. What are you up to, Shlomo? What Perek? Perek Levi. Okay. Zahav Konet HaKesef. All right. Okay. Right. So it's not easy to study. All right. Okay. So he knows. Okay. So he's up to Baba Mesya. Very good. To know the whole Mishnayot from A to Z is tough. So one of the things when Rabbeinu HaKadosh wrote the Mishnayot, he chose a style that would be easy to remember Be'al Peh, and given two choices. One choice is have it a little more verbose, but more precise, or have a less precise formulation, which is less verbose. He would choose the less precise formulation, although it's less verbose. Because it's less verbose. Also, style. He wanted to have a certain style that would be easy to remember Be'al Peh, so that there's a certain poetic rhythm. So in this case, in the case of Perek Hamishi, you see it's always referring to Betula, Almana, Betula, Almana. There is a case where it refers to the husband because it had to say something about the husband, namely that he has an obligation to marry her. There was no choice. But always in that chapter, you'll see it refers to the woman, and that's why it could have been more precise. Right? It could have said the husband didn't do nisuim on the woman, but then it would be harder to remember Be'al Peh, because the whole perek there is referring to the Betula and the Almana, the Betula and the Almana, and now you're switching it, harder to remember Be'al Peh. So it's less precise. It is. But I did, and I'll get to you in a moment, I did that we always said Lashon Nekeva in that chapter. A person reciting the Mishnah Be'al Peh, today we have everything printed, so it's not so hard anymore. A person reciting the Mishnah Be'al Peh, it'll be easy to remember Niseu and not Naseu. That's idea. So is it perfect? No. I love saying no, it's not perfect. It's imperfect. And yet this was the best we can do. You see, understand the idea? That somebody on Zoom or somebody in the...
Yeah.
Who's that? Freddie. Oh, go ahead.
But it's a little difficult because syntactically speaking, notnim labetula is similar to naseu and not neseu. Notnim labetula means the grooms give to a virgin,
right?
And naseu or the grooms marry the virgin.
Right.
Notnim labetula has the man as the subject and a woman as an object, and niseu is the opposite. Niseu means the women are the subject. So it's very hard to accept that the Resha is that Mishnah because it's the opposite.
Let's look at the Mishnah together. Let's look at the Mishnah together. I'm gonna where do you have notenim in the second Mishnah? Nun zayin, correct? Notenim lebetula 12 chodesh, mishetevaa habaa lefanes et asma. Uchshem shenottenim laisha, kach nottenim laish lefanes et asmo. Ulalmana 30 yom. Right? Igia zeman velo niseu. Who did we refer to explicitly? We refer to the betula and to the almana. So who are we referring to in the word niseu? We're referring to the betula and to the almana, or to the betula actually, not the almana, because the betula doesn't have actually. We're looking at the I don't know in both cases. But ben kach uben kach, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, whether you agree with him or not, and that's what the Gemara is saying, that niseu was more or followed the rhythm of the previous language. That's it. That's it. Can I prove it to you? No, but that's what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying that niseu is more in line notenim, right? Notenim la betula niseu. So we already referred to the betula previously, and in all the previous chapter, we're constantly referring to the betula. Betula gova, to go to the first right? You'll see almena nitkaresha, right? If you look at it previously, betula gova, almana manesh. Okay, and then it says nisu. Okay.
So I think notnin, the subject is the beddin. Because
I'm sorry?
I think the word notnin, the subject is the beddin, not the husband.
You're right, by the way. Incidentally, you are correct about that. When it says it means the beddin gives us masal chodesh. Correct.
Yes, and also Harambam has a girsa higia zemanam velo niseu, and then the following three words: O shemetu ba'alehem. That's feminine. That's referring to their husbands. So
that's very nice. Hazaku baruch. That's even better.
Yeah, that's even better.
Wow.
If you said naseu, it wouldn't make sense.
You couldn't say shemetu ba'alehem. Yeah. So the Mishnah, first of all, that's an excellent point. So first of all, the Mishnah is constantly referring to betula almana, notenim is not the husband. Thank you. That's correct. And then, according to the Grisam Harambam, o shemetu ba'alehem, you couldn't say naseu or shemetu ba'alehem. It wouldn't make any sense. So you see that, again, from the perspective of perfection, read the Mishneh Torah. The Mishneh Torah wasn't written or edited for purposes of studying Baal Peh. I remember when I was young.
He writes it was. He writes in the Hakdama it was. Harambam writes in the Hakdama that Mishneh Torah is meant to be memorized as well.
I know he writes that. And because of that, when I was young, I once tried to study parts of the Mishneh Torah Baal Peh because I was studying Mishneh Baal Peh. I said, let me study. I couldn't. It was really challenging. The Mishnah, for some reason, there's something about the way it's written that it's very easy to study. Relatively easy to study Baal Peh. If you try to study the Mishneh Torah Baal Peh, good luck. That's my own opinion. I'm not second guessing on Rambam, but the Mishnah was written specifically. I don't think you have idea in the Mishneh Torah. There's no idea. There's none of that in the Mishneh Torah. Okay, so yes, study of Baal Peh, but your brother, as long as you're talking about Torah Shevat, then we're going to get right back to the sugya. We have a little less than 30 minutes. And there was a question here, but Torah Shevat, Torah Shevat came into question with the famous ruling where they had the plane or three planes with Venezuelan gang members, rapists, child molesters, people who kidnap women to sell them into prostitution. The type of people the Democrats would want roaming the streets of America. So we have to first of all be sympathetic. I'm not saying this to be mean-spirited. We have to understand that they have their perspective and they like having these people roaming the streets, and it's difficult for them so they sent the plane, and the judge, they sent a plane of these people. They're somewhere in El Salvador in some maximum security prison there. I heard that in that prison, it's rough. It's rough. So anyway, the judge, he had a writing, and in the written order, he said whatever he said. But Be'al Peh, he said, turn the plane around. That was Be'al Peh, but in the written order, he didn't say turn the plane around. Right? So there's the Torah Shebichtav, has a different legal status than the Torah Shebe'al Peh, even for the Goyim. Isn't that interesting though? So the argument that Trump's attorneys, the Justice Department, the people trying to defend good Americans from rapists and murderers, they said, look, yes, we want to return the plane. You didn't say it. You should have written it. You should have just said it. You said it. I'm sorry. You didn't write it. You said it, but you didn't write it, right? So they have Torah Shebichtav, this, and they have Torah Shebe'al Peh. Okay, I had to mention that. Okay, before we continue, any other questions? Just one. I'm going to give one more question to the people participating live.
Rabbi, is there any?
I'll take Ronnie and then you.
I haven't seen it yet.
No, it's okay. No.
From what I gathered from the Brian's question, I think in the beginning of the Mishnah, it's notin levtula, notin la'isha, and le'amana. So I think he's saying that in Hiyam Zeman, the one he said, if it was not said, the women, the Betulot would be the objects of the statement, just like
Niseu, in Niseu, they're the objects.
No, not Se'u.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mechilam. Yeah. Right, correct.
So he was saying that then would actually be consistent with it.
Right. Yeah. No, but it's not, because it's adding a foreign element, because we weren't talking about the husband still now. Right. So who naseu, right? And furthermore, as Chacham Aaron said, the continuation in the Girsah Rambam is Oshemetu Ba'alehem. So you wouldn't be able to do that. You would have to have an extra sentence or two sentences. Yes, Irving.
Yeah. So how do we know that the Gemara here is stating that Rabbeinu HaKadosh really meant he really meant to say Naseu instead of Nisu, as opposed to,
right?
How do we know that there isn't an alternative scenario where Shemuel actually amended the halacha?
Right. So look, no, Shemuel is not going to amend the halacha, right? Rabbeinu HaKadosh gave the Torah Shebe'al Peh, Bet Dinon, and they had the second convention of the Torah Shebe'al Peh. Nobody's going to amend it. The Torah Shebe'al Peh was accepted by all the Chachamim of Eretz Yisrael, and part of the rabbinic, you see, you have to understand, we're coming from the outside, and we're looking at this system of rabbinics and rabbinic thinking, right? And nobody would just amend the Mishnah. What they would do sometimes, nobody would amend it. There's a reason for that, which I'm not going to get into right now. Maybe in one of the Sugot we study, we'll explain that. What they did sometimes is they had Baraikot that explained the Mishnah. That they would do, but not in this case. In this case, I did. Let's continue so you understand. So part one, we have sorry, I got confused with the Mishnah. Okay. No problem. No need to apologize. So part one, we had the statement of Rabbi Yosef. It was reconstructed by the yeshiva, as we saw. We had the lefichach, and then we had the ikad ba'ela mibaya. Okay, so those were what we studied, and now we're going to be going to part two. This is sugya kefula. So we just finished the first half. Now we're going to be doing the second half. So what I have here is a notebook where, when my father taught me, I took notes. So just give me a moment to find the correct place in the notebook. And there's many different things here. There's a Moreh Nebuchim. There's a discussion on probability. I have to find the sugya. So please, one moment. Okay. All right. Okay. So it's interesting. I just want to make a note on the second part of the sugya and the parallelism between the two parts. So you're going to have in this sugya, in the second part, you're going to have a similar or a parallel structure in as much as you're going to see an Ika de Ambe, right? Now, normally, as we said, the halacha is like the Ika de Amre. And yet here, what we're going to be seeing is that the halacha is not like the Ika de Amre. Now, why would that be? Meaning, that we said halacha kebatrae, and therefore Ika de Amre. And here, no, the halacha is not going to be like the Ika de Amre. And I'm just making you aware of this so you understand the way the structure works, because we wanted to have a parallelism. So in the first part of the sugya, when we had the Ika de Ba'ela Mibaya, that was Savur Erik, and halacha is not like Ravaha. He was a minority opinion. In the second part of the sugya, when we have the Ika de Amre, there's going to be similarly, the halacha is not going to be like the Ika de Amre, the halacha is going to be like the first opinion brought earlier. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is this sugya brings a statement of Rava. It starts with Rava. It says, Amar Rava, Wal inyan gitin enochen. That's a statement of Rava. Very simple. He says, everything we said, namely, kol onsa la'achla. So you introduced the overarching principle of ones. And you said that ones, according to Rabbi Sheh, and halacha is like Rabbi Sheh, is a reason to excuse the husband from paying the mezonot of the wife, even though 12 months passed. But there's honest, he wants to marry her, he can't. It's Wednesday, she's sick, he's sick, she's nida. So there was a tornado came and blew down the chuppah, I don't know what. He wants to marry her, boom, honest, he doesn't have to pay. Kolon salachla. Amar Rabba, he says, Ulinyan gitin enochen. for purposes of the laws of Gitin, enochen. Okay. Alma kasaba Rava, and there's a very important word missing here. We'll explain why later. And ta'anat ones begitin. You cannot come with a legal argument in the case of Gitin and say it was honest. We'll see. What does it mean? What does it mean, honest, begitin? We'll explain that. But for now,
but
when
it changes the phrase if you add the word ta'ana.
And ta'anat honest, it's a ta'anat, it's not an honest begitin. And ta'anat honest begitin. It's a legal argument. We'll see. Again, wait. There's no ta'ana of honest. Why would there be a ta'ana of honest begitin? What does it mean, honest begitin? The guy wanted to give her the get and he couldn't give her the get. What, she's megureshet? Nobody would say she's megureshet. So what does it mean in ta'anat honest begitin? We'll see. We'll see. And honest begitin. There's no honest, really. So the guy, the shaliach, wants to give her the get, and somebody comes, mugs him, kills him, throws him to the ocean, takes everything, the money, the get, and she never gets the get. There's ta'anat honest, no ta'anat honest. I mean, there's honest begitin. I'm sorry, there's honest or there's no honest begitin. And ta'anat honest, and we'll see what it means. And ta'anat honest begitin. All right, but we know, based upon what Rava is saying here, when he says in Yan Gitin Enochen, he's referring to the first half, namely, he's referring to where there is ta'anat honest, meaning he's referring to the lefichach hala hu shechaltahi o sheprisa nida vechomer. In that case, honest works. And Amar Rav Asher, we see the idea of Rav Asher kolon salachla started with Rava, who was a generation earlier than Rav Asher. He was previous to Rav Asher. So he says ulinyan gitin enochen. So we see that also Rava reads niseu as naseu, right? When he says ulinyan, he's comparing. What is he comparing it to? He's comparing it to nisuim. So he's acknowledging that kolon salachla. So we see that that's why the halacha, the Pesach halacha, is like Rav Asher explicitly, and we see that the only descending opinion was in the generation of the Savoraim. Okay.
Rava said this before Rav Asher said anything.
I'm sorry?
Rava said this before Rav.
Of course, Rava was several. I believe he was 2 generations before Rav Asher, right? So, all right. So. Yes.
By the way, at least the way I understood it, Rav Shira Gaon writes that Rav Hai was not suggesting a Pesach here. He was just explaining one of the sides in the Im Timase Lomar.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Interesting. Send that to me. Take a picture of that and show me what he says. I want to see it. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so it appears, what we see here is that it appears that Rava had 2 classes. One class was on our Mishnah and how there's an overarching principle of honest. The second class was about Gitin, and we're about to read the second class, which was about Gitin. And this second part of the sugya will be a summary of the shi'ur that Rava gave about en ta'anat honest the Gitin, right? The question is, what happened to the first class? Is the first half of the sugya the first class of Rava? Or is the first half of the sugya something that was formulated after Rava, by Rav Asher? I don't know. I'm telling you what my father taught me, but it's not, again, just because my father taught it to me, doesn't mean that nobody's allowed to use their brain and we all have to be domemim. But my father, by dom aharon, no. But my father told me that the first half of the sugya was edited finally by Rav Asher, and the lefichach is from Rav Asher. So then I asked my father, so what about the shi'ur of Rava? He says in Tanot on his beginning, he must have had a shi'ur. He said that the shi'ur of Rava was incorporated into the shi'ur of Rav Asher, and since Rav Asher was Batra'ah, visited the issue and finalized the issue, the first half of the sugya of Rav Asher, and the second half of the sugya, which is what we're studying now, is Rava. Right, so I wanted to share that with you, just so you see some of the historical.
Isn't that usually the style of the Gemara?
I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, every sugya we have to study it and understand where the sugya came from. How the Hachamim interplay. Okay, all right, so fine. Let's look now what the sugya says. Amar Rava ulinyan gitin enochem alma kasava Rava en ta'anot en ta'anat honest begitin. So this is now going to introduce the following inquiry. Mena le Rava. What is the source for Rava's contention that en ta'anat honest begitin? So here's what's going to happen. The Gemara will bring 3 Mishnayot. Each one of these Mishnayot support Rava when he says en ta'anot honest begitin. But in each one of the 3 cases, the Gemara is going to push back with the Vedilma. What does Vedilma mean? Vedilma means, yes, you can read the Mishnah that way, but you can also read it another way. It's not necessary to read the Mishnah in a way that supports Rava. Strange. Again, Rava says the earth is round. We have 3 Mishnayot that say the earth is round, and maybe that's why Rava learned that the earth is round. No. The first Mishnah, you can read it that the earth is round, but maybe it's saying something else. Maybe the second Mishnah is saying something else, and the third Mishnah is saying something else. Why? Okay, after it brings the 3 Mishnayot, it's going to bring a Memra of Shemuel. The Memra of Shemuel, again, supports the idea of what? En ta'anot honest begitin. And again, the Gemara is going to do what? Bedilma. Bedilma. Okay? Push back. Why? You understand the question? Meaning, the conclusion of the Gemara is going to be Rava sevara de nafsheh ka'ama mishum senuot mishum perusot. We're going to get to that next week. But I want you to understand the question. The question is, Rava says en ta'anot honest begitin, and there's ample sources in the Mishnayot, and then in Shemuel, en ta'anot honest begitin. And the conclusion is going to be Rava sevara de nafsheh ka'ama mishum senuot umishum perusot. Why the pushback? Why every time they say something, we say bedilma? So my father brought me the Shita Mekubeset, and the Shita Mekubeset brought Don Vidal Crescas. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that later on, Don Vidal Crescas, his Perush al Masechet Ketuvot was published. Meaning, when I studied this, when my father taught this, there was no Perush of Don Vidal Crescas al Masechet Ketuvot. It was brought in the Shita Mekubeset. And apparently later on, maybe they found the Ktav Yad, I don't know what, but I have the book of Don Vidal Crescas on Masechet Ketuvot. And here's what he says. He says, the Bet Midrash knew that Rava postulated en ta'anat honest begitin mishum senuot umishum perusot. So now, if Rava postulated that the reason en ta'anat honest begitin is mishum senuot umishum perusot, then the Gemara has to justify why Rava formulated his position as sevara de nafsheh. Why did he formulate the position? Oh, this is my opinion. What do you mean it's your opinion? We have Mishnayot, we have Shemuel. No. So they knew as mishum senuot umishum perusot. So I just want you to be aware of what's happening in the sugya, why the Gemara takes this approach, right? And as we begin to study, well, we still have 12 minutes. We're going to study this. This is going to be, this is going to be great. We're going to have a lot of fun here because you're going to see rabbinic rhetoric, and I'm going to teach you things that I believe you will enjoy hearing. Okay, we're really going to go into the text very nicely here. Let's start. I'm going to do this in 2 phases. I'm going to explain to you the text, and then we're going to go a little more deeply and understand what's happening here at the rhetorical level. Okay, let's read. Okay. Okay. So again, the question being, how does Rava know this? What is the basis for his conclusion? We're going to bring 3 Mishnayot now in Masechet Gittin. It's a little confusing what I'm going to say. They bring the middle Mishnah first, Then they bring meaning if you look at the actual Masechet Gittin and you open up the Mishnah, they bring the little Mishnah, the middle Mishnah first. Then they bring in the Gemara, they bring the first Mishnah, and then they bring the last Mishnah. So there's 3 Mishnayot. Mishnah 2 is brought first in the Gemara. Mishnah 1 is brought second in the Gemara. And Mishnah 3 is brought third in the Gemara. Okay. Whew, that was confusing. The reason it does it, and my father explained this as well, is by bringing the middle Mishnah first, then we can refer to the Resha and we can refer to the Sefa. You understand? So it's an easy frame of reference when you're saying, oh, but the Resha says this, oh, but the Sefa says this. So that's how, right? Because if it's 3 Mishnayot, what are you going to have? You're going to bring the first Mishnah, the Resha, then the second Mishnah is going to be what? The Sefa, and then the third Mishnah is going to be what? The Sefa, the Sefa, the Sefa. You understand? So that's why it brings the just in case you look at Masechet Gittin and you see that the Gemara switched the order, that's the reason the Gemara switched the order. Okay. Ilema, I'm sorry. Ilema meha. Ilema means lema, im loma, right? Shall it be said, or shall we say? Shall we say from the following mehaditan, from the following Mishnah? The Mishnah says as follows: How does it get im lovati mukan be'ad shenimas al chodesh umet betoch shenimas al chodesh enoget. Okay, the husband tells his wife, "I'm giving you a get." He gives her the physical get. He says, "But it's not effective now. I'm giving you the get, but there has to be a condition. The condition for the get to take effect is if I don't come back within 12 months. Maybe the guy's going on a business trip. He's going to be taking a boat. They used to have pirates back then. Pirates, they used to always attack ships. I know people get upset at the Houthis, but you have to understand, they've been doing this for thousands of years, so you can't get upset at them. It's just, this is their minhag. So the guy's taking a ship. I don't know where he's going. He says, honey, if I don't come back within 12 months, you know that I die. So therefore, this get is for you in case I don't return in 12 months, right? And then he died within 12 months. And no get. Not a get. No, what does it mean he died within? It's not a get. So you say, what difference does it make? He got a get or he died. By the way, that's it. It's over. No. He died before the get took effect. A dead person can't give a get to a woman. Now, number one, if he died and she's an almanah, she can marry a kohen. She can't marry a kohen gadol. She can marry a kohen idiot. Okay. Number two, if they had no children and he had a brother, if he died, yibum and chalisa. Correct. If the get was effective, A, she can't marry a kohen, and B, there's no yibum, there's no chalisa. You understand the other thing? So we need to know. So is she a divorcee who can't marry a kohen, who doesn't need yibum, or is she an almanah who may marry a kohen and who would theoretically need yibum? So that's the first Mishnah. So they say if he died, that's it. The marriage is over, not by virtue of the get, by virtue of the fact that he died. Okay. Now, if you make, we're gonna make an implicit. We're going to learn something implicitly from the Mishnah. I'm going to explain this in a moment. This has to do with rabbinic thinking. If he dies, the get is voided, right? But if he became sick, right? Met, who the no get? But let's say he became sick, meaning he was on the way to the house. In another week, he's going to get home. Now, another week, it's going to be the 12-month period, but he's going to get home the day before the 12-month period. Right before, honey, I'm home. Give me the get right now. Okay. He got home. Okay. Now, hala. He got sick. He doesn't give her the get. I'm sorry. He doesn't make it home to take the get from her, right? Or to annul, but he doesn't have to take the get from her, by the way. Once he gets home, he gets home. That's it. But the point is, he got sick. Hala. What's the halacha then? There's a get. It's a get, right? So here we see, now he's going to get home a week after the get took effect. He's going to be screaming, I was sick. I wanted to get home. I was anus. He's going to go to the Beit Din and say, what are you doing? She's, honey, sorry. I decided to marry somebody else. I didn't like you anyway. Thank you. So he's going to go to the Bet Din. What are you talking about? I gave her the get. You made it 12 months. I didn't make it 12 months, but I was sick. And ta'anat onas v'gitin. Right? So again, what does the Mishnah say? He met. Then the get is not a get. It's an implicit lesson from the Mishnah. How does it get? You understand? Until now, everybody understands the thing. All right. Okay. Vedilma. What does Vedilma mean? So let me explain. Vedilma is a far-fetched possibility. Right? Now, there's Vedilma and there's Dilma. Vedilma is a far-fetched possibility, and therefore you're not going to see, usually the halakha is not going to be like the Vedilma, right? But sometimes you have Dilma. If it's Dilma, that could be a real argument, and in that case, we might make the Pesach halakha like the Dilma. Okay, I didn't check this in the Gemara, but I invite you in the plural to check Vedilma versus Dilma.
Here it says Vedilma, you have the...
Yeah, Vedilma, le'olam emalach, halanameh enoget. Maybe you would say a far-fetched possibility that according to the Mishnah, also if he got sick, enoget. Veha kufaha kamash malam. The Mishnah, the goof of the Mishnah, I'm going to explain all this, has to do with rabbinic rhetoric. You can enjoy this. Veha kufaha kamash malam. The end get really, if he got sick, also I know get possible to explain the Mishnah that way, right? So why did the Mishnah give us the smaller hidush imet and oget? Why didn't it say imhala and oget? To teach us a law and get the hamita. To teach us a law, there is no get hamita. One of the conditions for a get to be effective is a husband has to be alive. If he's not alive, there's no get. I love the Lubavitch. I do. I love them. I love when I see them in the airport. That makes me happy. It's great. Some of them, not all of them, believe that the Lubavitch Rebbe is the Mashiach. And the problem with that, en Mashiach le'achal mitah, right? I mean, one of the conditions to be the Mashiach is you have to be alive. You have to actually be physically alive in this world, and and be able to do things. But okay, en get le'achal mitah. So I say en Mashiach le'achal mitah. Okay. Let me explain this. This is really important. We have 5 minutes. And I want to explain to you a principle about Talmudic rhetoric. Every text has an explicit layer and also has an implicit layer. So there is an explicit layer to the text and there is an implicit layer to the text. The explicit is the obvious content. What the Mishnah says. What does the Mishnah say here? Met. And what's the explicit lesson therefore? And get le'achal mitah. Right? Now, when the Gemara quotes a text like a Mishnah or like a Baraita, it can look at the explicit or it can look at the implicit. What's the implicit here? If he's sick, right? It's effective. And get le'achal mitah. The holy does not void the get. The mahala doesn't void the fact that he's sick, doesn't void the get. The fact that he died voids the get, right? That's the implicit. When does the Gemara look at the implicit? When does the Gemara look at the explicit? You understand the question? So when the explicit level of the text has no function, then we'll look at the implicit level, right? For example, you'll see this in the Ritva and the Rishba. They use the following Lishana de Rabbanan. They would say, this is a Mishnah Yetara. What is a Mishnah Yetara? Mishnah Yetara means, if you look at the explicit level of the text, I don't need it. It's not really teaching me anything because I have that lesson somewhere else. So then, because it's Mishnah Yetara, I have to look at the implicit level. Otherwise, what's the Mishnah teaching me, right? Okay, let's continue.
Why do we have a Mishnah that has an explicit level that is meaningless or redundant? Why would we even?
Well, that's the point. So it wouldn't be meaningless or redundant. And we know, again, the way that Ben Kadosh formulated the Mishnah, there's a certain logic based on what we said before.
Yeah.
But okay, but for now, so the person who brought this Mishnah, when he said, go back to the beginning, Ditna, ilema meha. This person in the yeshiva, he brings this Mishnah. And he says, He assumed that this is a Mishnah Torah, right? And therefore, he's saying we have to look at the implicit level. The Gemara says no. Hagufak kamashmalan. I'm sorry. The Hagufak kamashmalan. The end get lahamita. No. This is not a Mishnah Torah, and we're going to see why in a moment, right? And because it's not a Mishnah Torah, you have to look at the explicit level and say and get lahamita. That's the lesson, right? All right. Yeah.
If the purpose of this is probably he doesn't know if he's going to make it back home. Maybe he gets lost at sea or dies. Doesn't want to be out going on. Now, if we're saying there's no get if he's dead, now we don't know if he's dead or not. Does she become safek?
Oh no. So that's dealt with in Masechet Yevamot, the 15th chapter. All right, Perek Ha'isha, Ha'isha Batra, where met Ba'ala and they don't know. They fall into the water. Ma'im she'esh laim sof, ma'im she'en laim sof. If it's ma'im she'esh laim sof, and there was somebody standing there and he said he never got up, then she's not aguna. Ma'im she'en laim sof, she is aguna. But that's all the laws are dealt with. Masechet Yevamot.
But here we don't know if she's.
There's not a law of aguna. This is completely nothing to do with aguna. We know he died. Somebody comes and he says, sorry, the guy died. He was mugged. He took the subway. It was that's a bottom line.
No, she's still free to marry.
That's a complete. Oh, she's not an aguna. She's not an aguna. The only question is, we don't know what happened to the husband. We don't know if he died, when he died. Either way, there's going to be a question now. If he has a brother, we might have safek yibum. Maybe he'll do halisa. If he does halisa, she can't marry going to Rabbanan. Okay, details. I don't want to get into the details now. The point I'm saying is that back to the Mishnah. So they're saying that this is not a Mishnah Torah. You learn from this Mishnah Enged Lahamita, right? So he says, Enged Lahamita. Hatana le'isha. The first Mishnah in the series of 3 Mishnayot in Masechet Gittin, the first Mishnah already said and get le'achamita. And if the first Mishnah said and get le'achamita, then you can't say that this Mishnah hagufa kamashmalan, right? And now we're going to read the first Mishnah. How does that gitech imeti if I die? But we're going to explain this. We're going to explain these 3 Mishnayot in such a precise way that it's going to be clear in your mind, like 1 + 1 = 2. Again, I'm just teaching this quickly now. I told you we're going to do this a second time. Okay, there's each one of these Mishnayot, you'll understand it perfectly. Okay, we reach a time. Let's just finish it. How does that gitech imeti? How does that gitech mecholizeh? How does that gitech le'achamita? Lo amakilum. Right here. And get le'achamita. How does that gitech le'achamita? They say no. This second Mishnah. I'm sorry, this first Mishnah that we just, second in the Gemara, okay, the Resha, the Mishnah that we just quoted, that's the Mishnah Torah. And there's an implicit meaning to this Mishnah that we just quoted, the Tanya, Allah, there's a very important word, we're going to explain it next week, so I'm going to leave the following, with the following question. So they're saying that the Mishnah Torah is not the first Mishnah we quoted, it's the second Mishnah we quoted. Why? Who says? How do you decide that one Mishnah is a Mishnah Torah and therefore the other Mishnah we should learn the implicit level? Or no, the first Mishnah is the Mishnah Torah and then the second Mishnah we should learn the implicit level. Who says? What is it? All like, everybody's just moving their fingers. You ever see the opening scene of, the Frisco Kid? Right, the opening scene, there's some yeshiva in Poland and everybody's talking at the same time and screaming and they're all like, this. So I'm saying, what's the basis? That Mishnah is Mishnah Torah. No. The other Mishnah is Mishnah Torah. Who says? So next week, believe me, I'm telling you, this is going to be fun. This is going to be.
Don't follow the order of the Mishnah. The first one is obviously the second one. The second one.
Right, but one of them is Mishnah. One of them is a Mishnah Torah.
I would think they use the order which they were printed or done.
We'll see. It's not that simple. We'll see. Okay, gentlemen, have a good day.
I sent the
All right.
picture of Shira Gaon to the group chat.
Thank you, perfect, thank you. Good night.
Yeah.